They say you should never joke about two things, death and taxes. I'd like to add a third to that list, proposing to your best friend. My name is your name. And 3 weeks ago, I was a guy who valued his freedom more than anything. Today I'm looking at venue deposits and guest lists. All because of a 5-word joke that backfired, or maybe it worked exactly the way it was supposed to. When I knelt down in that crowded pizza place and asked my best friend of 12 years, Sarah, to marry me, I expected a laugh, a punch on the arm, and a great TikTok video. Instead, the room went silent. Sarah looked me dead in the eyes. Her chin started trembling, and she whispered, "I thought you'd never ask me." In that second, the air left the room. I realized I wasn't in a comedy sketch anymore. I was in a life-altering moment I wasn't prepared for. Here is the story of how a prank ended my bachelor days and forced me to face a truth I'd been running from for a decade. Part 2. The Just Friends Trap. To understand why this was such a shock, you have to understand Sarah and me. We met in high school. I was the awkward kid with the bad haircut, and she was the only one who laughed at my jokes. We survived college together, 3 of my breakups, 2 of hers, and a cross-country move. We had that Ross and Rachel energy, but without the actual dating. Everyone, and I mean everyone, asked us, "Why aren't you guys together?" And we'd give the same rehearsed answer. "Ooh, she's like my sister, he's like a brother to me." We were safe in the friend zone. It was comfortable. I could tell her about the girl I met at the gym, and she could complain to me about her boring dates. But looking back now, I see the signs I was too blind to notice. The way she'd always remember my mom's birthday. The way she'd look at me when I wasn't looking. I thought it was just best friend stuff. I didn't realize I was her everything. Part 3. The night of the prank. It was a Friday night. We were at our favorite local spot with a group of friends. The music was loud, the drinks were flowing, and the vibes were high. Sarah was sitting across from me, complaining about a guy who had just ghosted her. "I'm done," she said, throwing her hands up. "I'm just going to buy a cabin in the woods and live with 10 golden retrievers. Men are exhausting." That's when my internal idiot took over. I saw a plastic ring from a soda bottle on the table. I grabbed it, stood up, and kicked my chair back. "You know what, Sarah?" I shouted over the music. The whole table went quiet. "I can't let you live in a cabin with 10 dogs. It's too much responsibility. So, let's just end the mystery." I dropped to one knee. I felt like a comedic genius. I held up the plastic ring and said, "Sarah, will you marry me and save me from the dating apps?" Part 4. The point of no return. I was waiting for her to throw a napkin at me. I was waiting for the table to erupt in laughter, but it didn't happen. Sarah froze. Her face went pale, then bright red. Her eyes welled up with tears instantly, and it wasn't the "I'm laughing so hard I'm crying" type of tears. It was the "my soul is leaking out" type. The silence in that restaurant felt like it lasted a year. Then, in a voice so small I barely heard it, she said, "I thought you'd never ask." The table erupted. Our friends were screaming, people at the next table were clapping, someone even bought us a round of shots. And I was paralyzed. I was looking at the woman I had just pranked, and I saw the most beautiful, vulnerable expression I had ever seen on a human being. I couldn't say psych. I couldn't say it's just a prank, bro. If I had said that in that moment, I would have destroyed her. I would have burned 12 years of friendship to the ground in front of 20 people. Part 5. The aftermath and the realization. The drive home was the longest 30 minutes of my life. She was glowing. She kept looking at the plastic ring on her finger like it was a 5-carat diamond. She was talking about how she always knew we were endgame, but was too scared to say it. I dropped her off and went home to my empty apartment. I sat on my couch in the dark for 3 hours. I felt like a fraud. But then, I started thinking. I started scrolling through my phone. I realized that 90% of my photos were with her. I realized that when something good happens, she's the first person I text. When something bad happens, she's the only person I want to talk to. I realized I wasn't scared of marrying her. I was scared of how much I already loved her without even knowing it. The joke wasn't the proposal. The joke was the last 10 years I spent pretending she was just a friend. Part 6. The real question. The next morning, I didn't call her to apologize. I didn't tell her it was a prank. Instead, I went to a jeweler. I spent more money than I had in my savings account. I went to her house. She opened the door, still wearing that plastic soda bottle ring. She looked nervous. She said, "Hey, about last night. If you were just joking because of the drinks, it's okay. I get it." I took her hand, took off the plastic ring, and threw it into the bushes. I pulled out the real box. "You're right," I told her. "Last night was a joke. And it was the stupidest thing I've ever done. Because you don't deserve a joke. You deserve the real thing. I've been an idiot for 12 years. Sarah, please don't make me wait another day." She didn't say "I thought you'd never ask" this time. She just kissed me. And that was that. Part 7. Conclusion. The outro. So, that's how I accidentally got engaged. I guess the moral of the story is, sometimes your heart knows what's going on before your brain does. If you're out there joking with your best friend, be careful. You might just end up with a soulmate. What do you guys think? Did I do the right thing by leaning into it? Or should I have been honest from the start? Let me know in the comments. I'm reading all of them while I plan this wedding. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more stories. I'll see you in the next one. Asterisk Part 8. The Parents Talk. Once the ring was on her finger, the real one, the reality hit me like a freight train. We had to tell our parents. Now, you have to understand. Our moms have been secretly plotting our wedding since the Obama administration. When we walked into her parents' house, her mom took one look at our faces and screamed so loud the neighbors probably called the cops. Her dad, a man of very few words, just walked over, shook my hand, and said, "About time, son. I was starting to think you were blind." That's when the guilt flickered back for a second. Everyone was celebrating a perfect romantic moment that actually started as a drunk prank in a pizza parlor. I felt like a spy behind enemy lines. I looked at Sarah, and for a heartbeat, I wondered, does she know? Does she realize I only knelt down because I thought it would be funny? But then she caught my eye and gave me this small, knowing smile, and I realized it didn't matter how it started. It only mattered how it was going to end. Part 9. The best man conflict. Then came the talk with my best friend Mike. Mike was there that night. He saw me grab the plastic ring. He saw that I'm about to do something stupid look in my eyes. A week later, we were at the gym, and Mike stopped mid-sentence. He looked at me and said, "Bro, are you really doing this? You were joking, man. I saw you. You can't build a marriage on a prank. You're going to wake up in 5 years and realize you just didn't want to be the bad guy." His words stung because they touched my deepest fear. Was I just going along with it to be nice? I went home that night and stared at Sarah while she was reading a book on the couch. I tried to imagine my life without her. I tried to imagine her marrying someone else. Some guy who didn't know she hates the sound of whistling, or that she needs 3 pillows to sleep. And I felt this sharp, physical pain in my chest. That's when I knew Mike was wrong. The prank wasn't the foundation of the marriage. The prank was just the wrecking ball that broke down the wall I'd built around my heart. Part 10. The secret I had to tell. The pressure of the lie eventually got to me. 2 months before the wedding, we were sitting on her balcony, looking at the city lights. Everything was perfect, which is exactly why it felt wrong. "I couldn't start our life with a secret, Sarah," I said, my voice shaking. "I have to tell you something about that night at the restaurant." She went quiet. She put her wine glass down. "I really was joking," I whispered. "When I first stood up, I just wanted to make everyone laugh. I didn't have a plan. I was being an idiot." The silence that followed was the scariest moment of my life. She didn't cry. She didn't get mad. She just looked out at the city and said, "I know." I blinked. "You knew? I've known you for 12 years, she said, turning to me with tears in her eyes. "I knew exactly what you were doing. But when you knelt down, I decided to stop waiting for you to be ready. I decided to say yes to the man I knew you could be, even if you weren't there yet. I didn't say yes to the joke. I said yes to us." Part 11. The wedding day. The transformation.